Welcome to Italy as we go racing for round number 3 of this Wednesday Night Beer League series. My name is Ola Ramble alongside Mr. Fettuccini. We bring you all of racing action here on Wednesday night from the Beer League. It is the race that the champion had a hand in picking this week here, and Fen, it's Mugello, a circuit incredibly famous in the Italian and European racing world, and even more so in Formula One now with the fact that they ran here during the COVID eras. Today, we get set to see what these Little Legends 34 coupes get to take around this place. The last one out here was a late model stock, so sticking with the open car theme, it seems.
Definitely seems to be the cars with the least amount of downforce on a track that really benefits from having any amount of downforce. But I'm excited. It's one of my favorite tracks in iRacing and just in general. It's such a fun circuit with a lot of nice winding corners that make for some really great usage of technical knowledge on getting the car to turn consistently over the course of a set of laps that I think will become a very important and fun piece of the Beer League here tonight.
Take a look at the weather entering racing action here this afternoon, and you can see just how nice of a day it is out here right now. 25 degrees Celsius in the air, 38 on the track, so pretty hot track surface down to this about 100 degrees Fahrenheit. That wind, though, is going to be one to contend with. These are not heavy cars, right? We talked about how light these cars are. 39 kilometers an hour of wind. If we switch that over, that's 25 miles an hour. That's not nothing. These cars are going to be put through the ringer this afternoon.
That they are with that, and what was a drying track before we got into qualifying, it has definitely made for a bit of an interesting practice session, at least. I think it'll probably be, based on what we see here on the weather forecast for the evening, it will probably be a little bit of rain before we hit green flag, but otherwise it'll be a drying track again, and that'll be very exciting.
Well, qualifying right now is very much underway for racing action here this afternoon, and we're going to track down one driver to take a ride on board with, and you know what? Let's have our ride on board with today going to be, why not? Let's check out Alex Cofford as Cofford leads the way already through turn number 1 as he sets himself up for the opening sector of the lap.
Through first set of corners, these cars having to rely on the mechanical grip they've got, but they have to keep some good speed through it because, again, they're just nice winding corners, banging through a lot of the upper gears as he's going through with a second wide chicane and making his way into the second sector. It looks like he's got a handful, though, with how much he's working that wheel.
No doubt the wind probably playing a little bit of a factor into that. This area right here was a huge point of contention of the late model stocks. A lot of incidents through this downhill section of corners, and no doubt that's going to cause problems again with drivers throughout the course of the afternoon. Set ourselves up for a couple of high-speed right-handers. Power slide to that little coupe on the exit of another one of these corners, up over the rise, and now we get set to dive into a bit of a slower final sector.
Slower, but no less technical. A lovely set of right-left, what they would consider, if I remember correctly, on this track map, what is called Scarperia and Pelagio, before the first of 2 hairpins, or first of all, I guess 3 hairpins that round out the third sector and start-finish line.
Headed up to the Biondetti corners. There's 1, there's 2, before we'll head to Busin, the final corner on the circuit, as Alex Coffer going to get set to put his machine across the stripe, this time by, and we'll see what kind of speeds we can get. This is one of the longest straightaways we're going to be seeing all season long. It is an incredibly long front straightaway, and no doubt that's going to lead to some wild drafting battles coming up the hill towards turn 1.
I expect we'll see a lot of overtakes on this sector down the start-finish straight in turn 1. I think we'll see a lot of 2 wide through that first opening hairpin because it is very tight, very technical, but definitely has a lot of room to play the faster outside versus slower inside line battles. I think we'll see a good handful of those who wins out of that as they go through and we get the feature racing. I think we'll see a lot.
Lap times of over 2 minutes at this racetrack is going to make it so these race counts are going to be, again, pretty low. Some of the lowest race counts we'll be seeing all season long here in this one. Here we can see drivers like Justin Hall trying to work their way up towards the head of the field. Could look to be a relatively interesting run for most this afternoon, and now we just got to wait to see what the time is going to be when drivers get themselves in here.
I don't want to believe, because I'm looking at the weather forecast, and based on when we're going to be going racing, I'm going to guess we're going to see a bit of rain, a little band of it for a brief moment right between qualifying and the heat race. So my guess is we'll see them all start on wet once we get done with qualifying.
And that was the goal for this race, right? We wanted to see this race be kind of wet to dry. Of course, they're not going to be doing an actual rain race because these cars don't have windshield wipers, but they wanted to have a wet track. So they're going to experiment here tonight by starting on the wet track and moving into the dry. And that's going to be a real interesting run to see who's going to be able to do what. I mean, that's not often we get to see this sort of thing. That'll be a wild opener to see how that plays out.
I always love, and you see rain racing a lot more in endurance racing. So whenever I'm practicing for a longer endurance race, 12-hour, 24, that has rain somewhere in it, I always want to try to get something like this of a wet to dry stint to really understand how loose the car is in the wet, and then kind of feel where that changeover point is to be able to swap down to these dries. And it's going to be fun to see for a car that I don't really see a whole lot of endurance racing done in, to know.
Alex Coffer going to be taken to the number 1 spot. He puts down the new provisional pole time this session, immediately pulls off to the right-hand side, and he's going to call it quits from there. So Coffer up on provisional pole with everybody else trying to make their way down the start-finish line. Here comes Blake Gamble with a head of steam down to the start-finish stretch. Going to pass the 1:12, not going to get in there, and oh wow, that's going to be it really puts emphasis on how long that front straightaway is, right? That'll only be good enough for 18th on the boards. He needs to do better if he wants to get up into the field. Close, goes to 12.
Yeah, Carson Kalin also sliding into but it's 20th with the 2:17. Definitely a big margin of time jump gaps between Alex and Carson Kalin, who have all set the times. I hope to see, and I'm going to guess we'll see it kind of shift more into that 2:12, 2:13, 2:14 range between all these drivers. But definitely some lap time to be found out there for a lot of them.
For now, I think a lot of drivers focus on getting the benchmark time in here. It's so long to get around this place. I think this is one of those tracks where you really need to just get a baseline in, and then you can worry about putting a flyer in later on in this one. I do want to point out, you see that right in the background there, you saw how there was that extra strip of asphalt kind of running way out wide, and I think we might see it. Yeah, see right there, kind of around the outside the paint. Some people might wonder what that's for. That's actually for the MotoGP series when they race here. That is effectively a quote-unquote slow-down joker, I guess you could call it. If they get caught with track limits, take a ride through there. They'll call it no harm, no foul.
Yeah, I believe it's a fun thing to see. We see it on a couple other courses here in iRacing, the similar version of essentially what they, like you said, a joker lap part of the circuit for track limits. There's, I think, 2 of them on this circuit, one on that opening hairpin and one on the second to last one just before the fast kink section at the end of the lap. Both options for them to take depending on when they get the track limits in MotoGP racing.
I'm a big fan of it because it really does kind of make it a little bit more competitive when it comes to racing here, right? It makes it so, you have a way to self-police that in a sense, since Chris Pryke going to go into the number 10 spot. We are at the halfway point of qualifying as well, but curious to see if stuff like this is going to make more of a resurgence in car racing. Clanking to go to 23rd on the boards, and the car right behind him, Tyler Carlton, coming to the stripe. Real slow time for Carlton. That would put him very bottom of the barrel.
I don't think that was considered a good lap, and I'm guessing that's probably why we saw a 2:32 there. It was not a flyer that was going to be counted for him.
Oh, there goes Purcell. As I think Purcell is just having a little bit of fun with it.
Well, it definitely looks like he's at least enjoying the gravel track.
Here's the Alexander Bueller, his fastest time, a 1:12.464. His last lap was about half a tenth slower than that, so still looking for more this afternoon for the driver, the number 58. He is still in the first half of the lap. Meanwhile, Alex Crawford off of the final corner. Well, 3 minutes. If your lap time starts at the 3, you're already not on a flyer.
Yeah, I definitely think he probably had a bit of a off there a little bit earlier, and then just was trying to recover from there. But with not so much time, excuse me. They definitely seem to be crunching that pace down. A lot more people in the 213s here, which I'm excited to see how many more continue that. Another individual on a flyer, Austin Tucker, seems to be up a few sectors.
Austin Tucker working his way through the final sector. Chasing a 2:13.112. Scott Fleming goes to 22nd on the boards. Now this 2:43, it's going to be tight coming into the final hairpin here. Trying to swing it up and around. And if he can get in there, solid maybe, but I'd be relying on a lot from Austin Tucker here. 6 seconds. Will we see an improvement? It's going to be close, and no, he's just going to miss out on it.
It's always a heartbreak when you're trying to go down or go past the start finish line and you realize you're half a second slower. It's like, dang, I had time somewhere. Where's it gone? Always, and then you're like, all right, well, reset, do it again, find that time back. Because it looked like he had pace there to be a little bit faster, and just didn't stay with him.
We see Carson Catlin working his way into the final couple of corners. I have not asked about the context of that photo that he submitted as a driver image. I don't know if I want to know the context of that photo, but it looks like a chicken suit almost, but it's not one.
I think so. I'm not quite sure.
Just missing out on the time again.
This track is also starting to warm up a little bit as well, as it's now clear and no longer raining. We'll expect it to probably cool off once again once we get back to that band of weather we have coming in. It's just threatened and on the end of the radar, which we see on the iRacing side of things, or I do at least when I'm looking through pieces on my end. So it's going to be an interesting start to the race after qualifying.
Crawford resets the fastest lap, goes 2:12.025. That's still about 4/10 clear. And Alexander Bueller in the number 2 spot with Josh Freed still trying to run him down as well. So a lot, I think, to be desired for drivers in this one, and they're going to do their best to try and see if they can't get this figured out. You see Bueller taken into the runoff area there. Give it a nice demonstration of how that slowdown works as he gets out of the way of a few flyers.
Yeah, it looks like they're on a couple cool-down laps themselves before they get set to go and make time as well. Eric Cronenberg coming around the final couple corners to finish out a lap. But I don't think it's going to be any faster given the current time on the board there.
Yeah, not going to be anything representative of him. Justin Hall does improve. He'll go to 16th, and we're at the point, we've only got, 5 minutes left of the session. We are rapidly running out of time. Tyler Carlton trying to get one of his first laps on the boards of the session. Probably should have gone out early when the track was a little bit cooler. It's been picking up, though, in temp, like you've said, and that means he's not going to be able to do better than a 2:17.
I think that's another invalid lap as well, based on what I'm seeing. So I'm wondering if he's just having trouble keeping the car on track. Mugello's not the most forgiving in terms of track limits. It's not as bad as, say, Circuit of the Americas or a couple others where it's like a hard rule regardless of where you're going on the track. But it's definitely not, what would I say, more generous like some tracks are.
We'll take a look at Josh Freed. Running third with a 1:12.807, though with him already up to 1:55, I don't think he's going to be able to do much on this lap. I think it's going to be like a 2:13 at least.
Yeah, unless he gets a good run down the start-finish straight.
Scott
trailing behind. Yeah, trailing behind Alex Coffin there. But
now close. Over a second off. Over 2 seconds off. I think Carver might have just... No, I thought he just reset the fast lap again for a hot minute.
No.
These races are going to feel like they go by in a flash, aren't they?
I get that feeling based on how the way that this qualifying has gone as we're trying to kind of sort through some of the times and look at what's happening. I'm guessing we're going to get a similar feeling over the course of the heat and feature race. I think it doesn't help that the track, it's a 2-minute lap time. It's deceptively long, given that it's not really the longest track, or really even I'd say a considerably long track, but because of how slow the cars have to take most of the sectors, it ends up creating a very, I'd say fun, but not quick lap time.
Well, Greg Beckman does improve. He's going to go up into the number 10 spot, so a good show for him. Alexander Bueller, does he have an answer? This will be close. Coming to the line. 10, 11, 12. Just misses out on going quicker again. But he's trying. He's trying to stay competitive up there.
He's definitely showing some good consistency there between his best and the rest that are also he's setting there in the qualifying. I'm curious to see how far down these times fall. I'm kind of looking back at the initial practice laps, and I'm curious if that will remain the same for the actual race for the few couple, where it's about 5 to 10 seconds slower depending on how the laps go for them in the wet as it dries out again.
So kind of take a look here at what these predicted lap times are like in the session, and just showing that Carver might very well get a 2:11 here, although that is quite rapidly extending upward. I think he might have had a bit of an off moment. I'll tell you what, no, he's not going to reset it.
No.
Got a little close,
though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was pushing. He was looking for it.
Yep. The final corner here is one that if you get it right, you really feel like you're getting more time out of the lap. But if you get it wrong, you definitely can lose a lot of time you make up in other places. As Austin Tucker comes to a stop on the turn 1 kind of runoff and curbing. He's looking to improve. I don't think I'm not sure he will.
So we're very much on to drivers now that are starting their final trips around. You see Alex King working his way through the final corner, right now sitting 9th on the boards, and I think most drivers have kind of pulled it to a stop. They have called it quits here for the session. And King, is he going to improve? How about that? Improving by half a second. He goes to 9th. 5th. Great lap from King.
Yeah, it was a fantastic one from him. Good old 0.5 of a second, half a second, one might say, if you generalize that, as he improves and then says, I'm good here in the top 5. Charles Robinson, I think, trying to get a better time on the board than he got with a 2:14.43. Getting a little bit of the draft there.
Nice.
Another half second. 2:13.916 up to 12. Nice.
And Scott Flem, the guy that he was with, also improved up 7 positions. He improved to 14, so they both jumped up about 5 or 6 spots there.
Hell yeah. That's a good showing from
good teamwork there on that.
Yeah. And they're making fun with the gravel off the runoff of turn 1 there. Justin Brees on the tail end of a lap.
Tell you what,
he's one of the last drivers out there.
I tell you what, it was great, right? I mean, it was solid to see these guys having a great outing this afternoon, and I thought that was an exciting qualifying session. If the race is anything to go by, it could be a good one.
I definitely think it'll be interesting. I'm curious to see, like you said about the kind of faster middle section there in the Casanova, and kind of that Casanova complex of turns right before Arrabbiata. I think it'll be interesting to see what kind of chaos happens there in that middle sector of the course right before we get into that nice kind of last technical sector.
Well, with all that said and done, time to take a rundown of what your starter grid is going to look like here this afternoon. As rolling on out, it's going to be Alex Crawford. Started up at the head of the field. Moving on down, it's going to be Alexander Bueller in the number 2 spot. From there, it's going to be Josh Fried in 3rd with Darren Bai back in 4th. Alex King is back at the number 5 spot alongside Jay Kasich down in 6th. Moving back to 7th place, it's going to be Austin Tucker alongside Jason Lee. Row number 5 headed up by Chris Flavs and Chris Bright. From there, 11th to 12th is going to be Greg Beckman and Tyler Carlton. And that sets us up for the 12 cars that are set to be battling for the invert spot. From there, it is going to be Eric Ronenberg with Scott Fleming. Then Corey Barrett and Ron Wolf, already almost 2.5 seconds off the mark. Jeremy Castro and Justin Hall. Sebastian Close and Brooks Clayton to round out the top 20. Matthew Dupuis, Barrett Morton, Justin Ruiz, Jordan Babcock, Ryan Murphy, Matt Verstappen, Alexander Clank, Blake Gamble, Adam Joseph Milhart, Tyler Vietnam, Carson Gatlin, Giovanni Romano, Augustino, Kyle Smith, and Purcell will close out the field. So that's the sprint race getting set to roll on out for us here this afternoon.
And I think it'll be an interesting dash to see who makes their way up into the top 12 there, or who stays in the top 12 and has to work their way back through it if they're at the top. I know Alex Cofford, based on what we've seen here, will probably make his usual exit from pole position or wherever he is to start at the back of the field for the feature. But I'm interested to see how far Giovanni Romano makes his way up the grid in the heat alone to then make his way back up to the top in the feature.
Just waiting on the lights to flick on. And well, looking like some drivers did not make the call. Kyle Smith and Sam Purcell start from pit road. The revs will build. And 15 minutes of the sprint race is underway. A good, solid getaway from Alex Cofford. Oh, but he's jumped the start. Cofford with a jump start. He's got a black flag as a result. Same story for Greg Beckman. Both drivers will be tumbling down the field, and the man scrambled to turn number 1.
And I think while Alex Cofford wanted to start from the back, I don't think he wanted to start it that way. And definitely, I think, is a little disheartened there as he's making his way, trying to stay up in the field. A good getaway from the rest of the group outside of Greg Beckman and Alex Cofford as they all make their way through the first set of corners. To keep it nice and tidy and in positions. Alex Bueller and Josh Freed making their way in first and second. Jake Kasich up 3 positions off that launch into 3rd. Great stuff from him to start.
That is a tough break and a devastating mistake there for Alex Cofford. And curious if we can get a ride on board with him and potentially get an angle on exactly what happened here. This is the launch. It didn't even look like he jumped it.
No, it doesn't.
By that little.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it just read it, that or that little like movement that he had at the beginning of that segment
that might do it. Yeah,
I was curious if that, and I'm wondering if that's what they flagged as the jump start there.
It's laser defined, right? Like it's a laser across the grid spot. So if you look out, trouble behind is the 43 going around, and he's going to collect what I think that's Carson Catlin that just got speared off into the infield there. No, it was not. It was Mailhide that went off.
Yeah, and 7 Purcell as well, getting wrapped up in that. But they seem to get back underway. Tough break for them in the heat race. Yeah, with the laser defined, that laser, I assume just by that little kind of bump that it was enough. Let's see if he comes in this lap or next lap. He's got, I think, 3 laps to serve it technically, or including the one he starts on.
Greg Beckman coming in this time to serve.
I would say probably the smart move. Get it done early, get it done out of the way. Easy to recover. Well, as easy enough as it can be to recover from for that. I believe it's just a drive-through for those, if I remember correctly. It might be.
Holy cow. 3 wide. Henry turn number 1, and on the exit of turn 1 as well. It gets wild when you have these Legends coupes at a track like this. And I mean, they're putting on a show, aren't they? We got a lot of cars packed up nose to tail that are just having a time of it.
I love, since they're so small, like you can fit so many on the course where there's still plenty of room to their left and right for cars to wiggle and not immediately hit another car. These aren't like, giant, prototypes, GT3s that take up a lot of space. They're these, fun little, almost like go-kart type looking things. I know they're not actually but they feel like they have that kind of footprint, and you have so much more room on the track to maneuver these cars around and get 3 wide through turn 1 and have it still be plenty of space and road you can see in between each of them.
So the field going to continue to battle it out with one another. Alexander Bueller maintains his run to the head of the field. It looked like he could be on a pretty significant breakaway as a result of this. Of course, the question is, where is the battle going to remain for 12th? Remember, 12th place, that is where the invert's going to come in. Well, we got another car that just got shucked around to the back. That is Corey Barrett that now finds himself off and around. He's going to have gone around with the 69 entry as well of Tyler Augustino. So both of those cars having issues here.
Looks like, from what I saw on that, it was just a initial spin as Tyler Augustino bumps into the 37 and then collects the 69 Tyler Augustino in the process.
And they see Alex King. Now he looks to get around Jake Kasich. Side by side as they will battle their way down the straight. Fighting down the front straightaway this time by the 16 has got the advantage. And he's going to try to pull clear. Austin Tucker still caught in the middle. 3 wide. Contact! Oh, there we go. That's going to be a mess. No way. No way! Holy cow!
Oh, man. It definitely looked like Netcode just took 2 of the cars, put them into each other for a while. But it resolved.
I mean, all's well ends well? Question mark?
I think like an exclamation point in front of the question mark, but yes.
Take a ride on board with Darren Bai here. As, boy, oh boy, I mean, you talk about getting a little bit hairy there, and we'll get another look back here as that was Jake Kasich. Kind of got caught in the middle there. Oh my goodness.
To be on board for, with one of them, it's just, there's a brief moment where they're just in, the cars are just in each other, and it's so wild.
We'll try to get a better look down the whole straightaway here. This'll do.
Yes, this is perfect.
Oh my goodness.
Bump in there,
oh
and then they just hang out.
That is luck. That is just luck right there that didn't end up being worse. By the way, Alex Comfort still has not taken his penalty, and he is now working the third and final lap that he's got to serve that. Now, I'm honestly not expecting him to, because remember, Comfort's the guy that likes to take himself out of these races, so I'm expecting him to just run this one out and go to the end.
But if he gets disqualified, does he need to get disqualified from the entire race?
No, it's only the heat.
Oh.
You only get disqualified from the whole thing if it's actually done via admin.
Okay, cool. Then, forgive, I will let, never mind. I retract my statement.
And this is speaking from somebody that tried to make a joke with tried to make a joke in the league when I was an admin in it, and it didn't go my way. So speaking from experience here, he is in a pit road, and there is Kasich and Tucker bump drafting down the stretch, and they got a couple going with them as well. Alexander Bueller going to put down the fastest lap of the race here. Good solid move for him. Well, everyone else fans out behind on the mad sprint down to turn 1.
I love seeing the pairs of cars that are bump drafting down the start-finish straight because of how long it is.
As off the road goes Ron Wolf. Oh, now Lee having a bit of a tank slapper. Still going around. He's going to find the... No, he's not going to find the tires. But boy, he is sure trying to. On board with Jason Lee here. Got a little crossed up and just never let the car settle.
And he's just...
Great job.
Fantastic handwork there. Keep that car from getting out from under him. He is back going the right direction.
Gonna get another look back at this one again, and you'll see just how close he comes to getting into that tire wall there. mean, look, that car is headed for the fence and just barely keeps the Nerf bar out of it.
Just
look at that.
Tokyo just drifted it across the grass to keep it out of the tire barrier.
That is an awesome shot.
It is.
I didn't realize how much air that car got. I mean, these cars don't like it when they catch you with the smallest bit of air. That could have been a big incident for him.
Yeah, absolutely. I think like we saw last week, and I think we'll see in probably some future weeks, anytime that suspension gets rattled, the car just does not appreciate the suspension getting upset in any meaningful way. That really sets it off on a kind of almost like a avalanche or snowball effect of how the car doesn't want to handle correctly, and then it's really damage mitigation at that point.
Bueller again resetting the fastest lap of the race, and it just continues to escalate more and more and more, and now got another run here, 3 wide again, down into the corner. We're going to be seeing a lot of that tonight, I think.
Absolutely. I think we'll see a bunch of 3 wides, a couple of 4 wides that we saw a little bit earlier. And I think we'll see the kind of the drafting pairs that we saw, that I've seen at least a couple times on the start-finish straight, to get to turn 1, because it's just so long and there's so much room, and you can just help push the car in front of you also to be faster and then get around them in that turn 1 hairpin.
So the field going to keep on keeping on effectively here. And the pack with now 5 minutes to go, and Alex King has found himself facing the wrong direction.
Oh, and Tyler Agostino and Matthew Dupuis also collecting themselves up in a small incident.
So a few cars ending up going around here. Unfortunate for him. Oh, there's another one off the road. That is Chris Flams tumbling out of the top 12. And boy, it's a game of not merry-go-round, it's musical chairs for this 12th place spot here.
That I'd say it's a little bit different than merry-go-round. One of them eventually you come back around to being in the 12th position in merry-go-round. Musical chairs, if you don't find a chair, you usually tend to be out.
And right here, you can see Hall trying to go around the long way. And again, what a fight that we are having this afternoon. I mean, absolutely stellar drive. And we will, I think for the rest of the race here, we'll flash up the battle for the top 12 with Alex King, Jeremy Castro, and Justin Hall right now at the forefront of it.
And I think if they can stay paired up going into the start-finish straight, really kind of work on the kind of draft pack that they end up kind of doing through these sectors, as they engage in 3-way bump drafting further back behind this trio of cars that we're looking at, it is going to be an interesting finish for the top 12.
Alex King bumped down into the danger zone. He's going to immediately try to get back around the likes of Jeremy Castro and more. Jeremy Castro now put into the 12th place spot. Brooks Clayton looking like he wants to try to get it in here as well, but it's not quite going his way for the time being.
Well, at the moment, but plenty of road still, and with how much that car almost swerved for Justin Hall, it's definitely not out of contention yet, especially if it gets a good run later on somewhere else in this track.
2 laps to go. This is going to be an 8-lap sprint race this afternoon. As the battle pack continues to slice and dice. Just a little behind. Looks like a couple of cars might have had a little bit of a go around, and I think among those is Sebastian Close, having just found himself facing the wrong way. Ron Wolf has just taken the toe to pit road. The rest of the pack does their darndest to keep up with one another. It's going to be the Bueller show up at the front. He's definitely going to be the winner of the sprint race, no doubt about it, barring any mistakes.
Yeah, I think unless he has a really unfortunate time with one of the curbing, which is possible, because we've seen a couple others really lose it on a couple of pieces of curbing if they've not been careful with how they've approached them. I think it's pretty much a sealed deal for him, but it does put him back in 12th for the feature to go climbing back through the ranks.
So once again, the battle for 12th place remains wide open as we'll start the final trip around here at the Mugello circuit. Up front, will we go 3 wide again for 2nd place into turn 1? I don't think we will. Not this time. We're going to keep it a little bit more tame this time around. What about for the transfer spot? Of course, we're going to go 3 wide for the transfer spot. Clank, Romano, and the 16 of King. Oh, lock it up into the corner. We're going to remain 3 through the apex.
That we are, and Tyler Carlton in the back of that shot as well. And I think he's just waiting for something else to happen in him for it to collect all of that. The points there, the positions there, I should say, as they have to recover their races. So I think he's playing it safe, sitting back and just waiting for chaos to unfold as these 3 are duking it out.
So Darren By up the road with Chris Bright just tucked in there as well, doing everything he can to try and close in another spot and take up another bonus, another point for taking 6th place in the sprint. While up front, Alexander Bueller still going to remain up in front. Alex Comp, by the way, is another black flag, and I'm willing to bet that is a result of slowdowns this time around. No one a threat to the 58 right now.
Yeah, and I would say I have not seen anybody else set out of the top 12. I think the only one I've seen set another 212 has been Alex King. That was his last time by. So he is free and clear by a good margin as he comes around the last hairpin before the start finish line.
Free and clear he will remain. Alexander Bueller off the final corner, takes the win in the sprint race this afternoon. It's going to be all in the battle behind for the number 2 spot. Jake Kasich trying to fend off Austin Tucker. Free, trying to see if he can't go for the number 2 spot as well. Fan it out, 3 wide to the stripe, and Josh Freed going to pick up 2nd place in the sprint.
And he was fourth in that pack going into that. So it's so interesting to see how the draft really applies to these cars as they all pile into Alex Bueller up at the front.
Of course they do.
I mean, it seems like the thing to do as the cars just kind of explode into the turn 1 hairpin.
And again, why would they not? It's a tradition. It's a beer league tradition.
It is the post-race celebrations.
Ooh, one car cartwheeling over there. Yeah, got a few good ones going in here. Holy cow, there's a couple of good ones.
Although we're excited about this, I think we've seen some other ones that were a lot more dangerous that we saw earlier tonight.
It's the spectacle of it.
That's fair.
We're kind of going to run out of cars here, unfortunately.
I think we are.
Yeah. Oh, well. Well, it was a good run, though, that we had. A very solid drive. And, well, with that, we are going to get the chance here to take a rundown through your official sprint race here. Sprint race results here this afternoon, as it is going to end up being Alexander Bueller taking the win, Freed in 2nd, Tucker in 3rd, Kasich in 4th, By in 5th, Lee in 6th. Then it's Bright, Clank, King, and Romano to round out the top 10. And it started on the front row with Tyler Carlton in 2nd and Jeremy Castro in 1st. So that is that and then. We got everything lined up and ready to go for the main event. We'll be back in a moment with more on Green Flag TV. Stay with us.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Green Flying TV as Racing Action is set to continue in just a few moments over here. 60 seconds to go before we will go racing once again. The rain is falling, and that means we're likely to be starting on wet tires. And as you can see from the foliage, boy, that wind is not getting any lighter over the course of this afternoon. And I'm willing to bet it's getting a bit angry. Oh my goodness, 64 kilometers an hour. Yep, we're talking freeway speeds that it's hitting now, just about.
Yeah. Yep. Darn near 43 miles per hour for those of you who use the Imperial system or have landed on the moon. It is windy. The rain looks like it's going sideways in most of the shots that I'm looking at. The trees don't look like they're standing up at all. It's going to be, I think, a very fun feature race once the rain clears out and we go racing for the hour-long feature race.
Taking a look at the last over the last 4 minutes, really. I mean, you can see the water level rapidly rising on the racetrack as we try to get this track kind of wetted up before we'll go racing this afternoon. And I think now we are ready to take a rundown of what that starting grid is going to look like for the main event. So coming on up this afternoon, let's see what this thing is going to look like. So for the main event this afternoon, it will be the likes potentially, maybe, we'll see if it wants to ever update. There we go. We got it eventually. Jeremy Castro going to be started on the top with Tyler Carlton back in the number 2 spot. Those were the guys who finished 12th and 11th in the sprint race. Then it's Giovanni Romano in 3rd, Alex King back in 4th. It's Alexander Klenk in 5th, Chris Bright down in 6th. Jason Lee starts 7th alongside Darren Bai. Jake Kasich in 9th, Austin Tucker down in 10th, and that will leave the sprint race runner-up and winner, Josh Freed and Alexander Bueller. From there, it is going to be Justin Hall, Brooks Clayton, Scott Fleming, Chris Flams, Eric Ronenberg, Mac Verstappen, Carson Catlin, Blake Gambrill, Jordan Babcock, Barrett Morton, Tyler Augustino, Sebastian Close, Ryan Murphy, Matthew Dupuis, Greg Beckman, Corey Barrett, Tyler Vietnan, Justin Breweries, Stephen Purcell, Adam Joseph Hott, Ron Wolf, Alex Cofford with Kyle Smith bringing up the rear.
And I'm curious to see if Alex Cofford is going to jump the start again, or if it's just that one little kind of bump at the beginning, which is what caused it.
Maybe we'll see. I would hope he wouldn't do it again.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd think, you know, lessons learned from the sprint, right? You can afford to lose a little there, especially when you don't intend to finish. You can't really afford that in the main event.
Yeah, and I also don't think, like, I don't think he intended to, like, I don't know what exactly happened there, but something caught and he just was like, all right, well, I guess I've bumped it to where it's no longer valid. It's fascinating. I'm super curious if that was, like he just really nailed it just a second smidge too early that it classified it, or if it was the bump there earlier that classified it.
Estimated 28 lap race this afternoon. It's a relatively small margin. I mean, you only got 3 seconds. Romano is not gridded up. He's going to be starting from pit road. And Bueller might be the same. He is going to be the same. So with that, the grid is set. And 1 hour of racing ready to kick off this afternoon as the revs build. And it's go, go, go as we go racing back to Mugello for the main event. Another stalling getaway from Castro up at the head of the field, while everybody else trying to fan on out down to the turn number 1 for the first time tonight.
And the spray you see coming off the back of these cars, it makes it probably super interesting as we get into the first corner for all of these guys. 2 wide between Tyler Carlton and Jeremy Castro. Everyone else seems to be flowing in 2-3 wide and further down there between, Eric Rottenberg and Chris Flams, amongst some others. Everybody seems to make it through turns 1, 2, and 3 without much incident. Or said too much.
For the most part, it looks like everything is kind of relatively organized here. Everything's being very orderly off at the start. I'm willing to bet, though, not even close to being similar in the cars. Take a look on board here with Josh Freed, and you can see that spray's already, it's a little bad, a little hard to deal with. The visibility definitely reduced, and Darren Bai has gone around. He has tumbled towards the tail of the field. We're going to flash up the timing tower, and you're going to notice here, and you can see the tire compounds on the right-hand side, and some drivers started this race on slicks.
Yeah, I would say a bold choice for those drivers. Mac Verstappen getting caught up in that incident with Darren Bai, and I think he's just found his way around as well again, running into Carson Patlin, I'm going to say. No, sorry, Adam Joseph Mailhot, in another incident.
See, I actually think that this is going to end up being, oh, look out, as a round going to go the 16 of Alex King. I think this is going to end up being one of those types of things, though, right, where you got yourself with a drying racetrack. I feel like it is a smart idea to start on slick tires. I can see the thought process here, right? If this truck's going to be drying up in the first 10 minutes, why burn an extra pit stop coming down to change tires? That's a lifetime in pit road.
I think it'll really depend on the lap time, because if you can't keep up with the drivers that are on wets in those conditions, I think it'll be very hard to make up the time lost. To be able to, even if it's the time you gain on the wets will outweigh the pit stop that you have to take to put on the dries, and especially with the fuel size of those of the cars this week. Double checking my math and referencing what that number looks like.
And don't forget, the Code 69s are going to play a factor in this as well, as we go 3 wide per second.
Yeah, so I think it's definitely it's going to be interesting to see if they have the time to keep up over the wet tires, and that I think will be the deciding factor on whether or not it was the smart decision or the not smart decision to gamble on the dry tires.
You can already see several dry lanes starting to open up as well. Look at all like the lighter gray stuff. Oh, and off into the gravel track going to go Carson Catlin. He's going to tumble down the field, but be able to relatively pull himself up and fight through it. Meanwhile, Tucker, Kasich, Castro remain second, third, and fourth as Austin Tucker trying to shoot for the inside of Tyler Carlton. Carlton sweeping out wide. Can't make the move.
Go off the tuck back in, give it another shot. He's got the run here at the moment. Jake is following Austin Tucker through there as we get through Casanova and up to the lovely corners of Arabiata, 1 and 2. such a fun. I've got to imagine this is equally as fun in these machines as it is through a lot of other types of cars.
Oh!
Hey, Kasich.
Yep, just
finding himself on the inside.
Spun that bad boy around, and that is going to be a pretty devastating mistake for Kasich there. The rest of the pack still continues to circulate, and that has just given Austin Tucker a good 3/4 of a second worth of breathing room at the head of the field.
I wonder if he'll get enough to break the draft behind him before the start-finish straight, because if that is going to be any indicator, that gap will probably close between now and then, depending on how they do it. And if he keeps that car going the right way, take a look at a couple of drivers that are on dries. Alex Clank, one of the many that has fallen down the order 11 spots from where he started on those dry tires.
On board with Justin Hall, as Hall tries to make up whatever ground he possibly can. No dice, though, this time by. He's going to look for the inside into turn number 1, and, well, I mean, not the ideal first few laps, but I think for the most part, he's able to kind of get things gathered up more or less all right. Although Tucker 2 seconds ahead, and I think Tucker now the odds-on favorite to win for sure.
I think if he can keep it consistent and understands when to swap over to dries, absolutely. While the track is drying, you still see that spray over most of the cars coming off of the kind of that dovetail feature coming out of them. I think it's not quite dry enough or even really getting there to the point where they need to be swapping over to dry tires. Alex Cofford up 24 positions into 10th on such a flyer.
So the pack going to keep on keeping on. Ron Wolf, Plank, By, and more all going to keep on working the problem here. This wet track, it really does throws a whole new dimension into things, and obviously it's one of those things, right, you really need to be careful about how you... Oh, there we go! Carson Calabine shoved out, and he's going to go right into the fence. Immediately gets it fixed up at least, but you know, this is why we call rain the great equalizer, right? These wet tracks kind of really throw a bit of a toss-up into the rain.
They certainly do. It also is really a testament to how much practice you've done in the rain to know where the car responds well versus where it really gets out of shape by comparison to its kind of dry running feel. And I think it's catches out a lot of drivers, such as Jake Kasich or Carson Catlin that we saw here just a moment ago, as they have to remind themselves, like, oh, this car's going to be different in the rain by a decent margin, not a ton, but enough to where I have to you have to make adjustments.
By the way, the PSR broadcast just coming to a close. If you're joining us from the Sim Gaming Expo Truck Series on Wednesday nights, welcome on board. The sprint race was a wild one, and well, deliberately starting this feature race on a wet track that will turn into dry track the longer we go along. And some drivers, again, opted to start this race on slicks. I'll give you a guess. They're not in the top 20 anymore.
Hey, I think we had one in the top 20 to begin with. And
we had a couple. They started 3rd and 4th initially.
Oh, wow, yeah, they did. Why are they all the way down here?
It's because they were on slick tires.
yeah, exactly. That's fair. That's fair. I guess I'm just expecting, them not to fall so drastically. And because I'm watching Alex Clank slowly kind of fall down the field, trying to hold on to the few positions he has remaining, but he's still down 15 from where he started in 5th, if I remember correctly. And is just struggling with the dry tires to find any amount of time by comparison to the wet tires, setting times about 10 seconds faster than him on the track right now. So it's...
Lap times continuing to get quicker as well. As you just saw, Austin Tucker set the fast lap, and Alex Cofford immediately took it right back. Cofford started this race from the tail end, and now already up to the number 9 spot. So Alex Cofford right now on a pretty good drive for the field, up into the top 10 plus 25 spots on the day. Got several relatively big movers actually throughout the pack so far. Cofford the biggest one, but Wolf, Ronneberg, Oxnard Hall all up over 10.
Yeah, I would say definitely looks to be showing great consistent pace in the wet. I wonder if they practice that more than the dry, and learning how to be consistent here without really pushing the car too hard to have the mistake like Jake Kasich did early on, which only really dropped him down a little bit past where he had started from. The Code 69 window also open now. So we'll see if that gets triggered soon, or will it be closer to a fuel stop for these drivers as they keep making their way around the lovely Mugello circuit.
So Ronenberg, Fried, and Moore continuing to battle down. There you see the 69 of Augustino to the inside of Tyler Carlton, picks off yet another spot. Great move from Augustino, gets himself up and around the driver, the number 45. Meanwhile, the 43 Tyler Carlton has got Clegg breathing down his neck, and he's got the 65 entry as well of Justin Ruiz in the fray that he is struggling to take care of. This battle for 10th, man, I mean, it's been there since the get-go. It has not gone anywhere.
It has not. I think a couple of the drivers have changed. Jake Kasich, Jason Lee kind of filtering in from other parts of the race, but definitely has not changed in terms of not being a battle. So they keep making their way around the final hairpin. And Jake Kasich trying to find a line along with Chris Bright. Chris Flams looking to bump draft Tyler Carlton.
Austin Tucker running a 2:31. So he continues to put down the gauntlet for fastest lap of the race. It's really a battle between confident Tucker right now for that spot. You see Ronenberg also getting around Justin Hall for second place into the corner. And looking like, Baron Morton's gone around to the front straightaway.
I think that was a bump draft that had gone wrong. Looks of it.
Oh dear. I'll jump back and we'll take a look, find out what's what with the driver, the number 6 here.
Oh. He gets was a little loose initially, and then gets a bump draft into the wrong spot, and both kind of get shoved off.
That was Max Verstappen that got him.
Max just had a very rough race. A couple incidents earlier involving Darren Bai, as well as Adam Justin Mailhot.
4 seconds clear now for Austin Tucker, the head of this field. I mean, this guy has just been on point this race. And I mean, you want to talk about a wild run. I mean, these guys have been, geez, I mean, can't really do much to, I don't know what I can tell you to say. I mean, that these guys have been going at it, but they have been going at it these last little while. And if we compare the last 3 laps between Tucker and Ronenberg, I mean, it's not even close. Look, 8/10 lost on lap 4 alone.
Yeah, so, up 8/10 on the first lap. Sorry, about 2 laps ago. Then past 2 laps, he's lost time, so he's back even further than where he started in any time that he gained there. So it's definitely a good, consistent drive out of Austin Tucker. I'd say, also as well as, Alex Crawford, Giovanni Romano as well, because he currently holds the fastest lap with a 2:30.23. Hopping over with Carson Callan, who I think just gets it loose there.
That is Mailhot, and he decided to call it quits, I think, as he kind of brought it to a stop, and the tow to the pits has not been seen since, so I think he's done for the day.
Yeah. So it's definitely not the most forgiving track, especially with the conditions as they are. Austin Tucker making friends with the paint. Keeping it going underway as we look back further in the field.
And again, Crawford resets the fastest lap of the race. First time into the 2:29s that we've seen all night long. So this track continuing to get quicker. I think we're kind of right on the cusp of the changeover point by now.
I think we are
Tucker's
a lap
around.
or 2 away. Austin Tucker losing it out of turn 1.
Huge mistake for your race leader that had a 4-second lead.
Just gets a little too early on the power and then doesn't recover the car before trying to apply it some more. Spins it around.
That has dropped him all the way behind Alex Cofford, and you can see how much that car is struggling. I mean, he is not having a good time in that machine right now, and I think that much is kind of pretty clear right now, and even here you can see how much he is struggling with it.
I think it's all just struggling to see sometimes. There's lack of wiper blades on them make it not the easiest thing. It's not terrible to see out of it, but it's just definitely not the like usual pristine look. Well, that car is fighting him for grip there. I wonder if he has burned up some tire.
He's on the wet weather compound as well. This is not slicks we're seeing.
No, but eventually the wet weather compound will run out of tread that will be considered wet weather tread, and it'll start being a little bit more like a slick or a slower slick and not grip as well, and that might be what is happening there for him. I don't expect that to happen that early, but it's, you know, that's kind of what I'm seeing there, is that lack of gripping and then kind of choosing to grip at really weird times, but also could be the heat in the tires from that slide earlier on. Is my other thought I've got.
Corey Barrett looking like he has just had a problem. Jump back, find out what happened to the number 7 entry. Oh, yep, that Astra will get you when it's stamped like that.
Yeah. Always gotta be careful with the curbing. It'll catch you.
I gotta be careful with the rejoin too. I thought he was about to clean a couple cars up with that.
Not almost looked like it was about to be very unsafe, but.
Justin Hall for the first time going to put down the fastest lap of the race, and he closes in to within a second of Eric Ronenberg up the road as well.
Oh, Agostino, I think, immediately removing that by being pushed by Alex Cofford all the way up into 3rd.
Oh, not quite. Cofford still has not taken the fast lap back, so genuine quick lap there from Justin Hall, as we'll see what he's really able to do with that. Now Cofford, side by side, nearly contact with Josh Freed. Working just the 7th lap of this race and already a quarter of the way through.
Yeah, they were having 3-minute laps to start, so I would have to imagine as they improved closer to that 2-minute time from window, that it gets the laps increase in our frequency as they decrease in time. Fastest lap was from Tyler Agostino, not Alex Cofford that I was mentioning earlier. At 229.26.
Quite a few drivers started to lose touch with the overall leaders of this race, as still got a good number of cars that are packed within a second of each other, but you can tell how much these are starting to kind of spread out throughout the course of the afternoon, and I have a feeling that we're going to be seeing quite a bit of separation if we don't get a code 69 quickly here, right at that changeover mark. The drivers have got to be considering coming in for slick tire at this point, right? I feel like slicks would be a bit quicker right now. The thing that we're really kind of waiting on is to see if we're going to get a code 69 to make it optimal to change over to them.
That's, I think, what a lot of them are going to be waiting on. I'm kind of looking at the runners who have started out on dries, and if they're still running faster, they're not running faster yet. It's getting closer, and I think you're right about the window being within the next couple of laps. But I don't think we're quite at the point to pull the trigger and swap over from wets that a lot of the field is running right now. I think it's still got a lap or two based on the fact that most of them, I think I saw Scott Fleming, unfortunately, have an incident there. He got a little wide. Oh, he got collected by Barrett Morton, who got a little loose on the exit there, bumps into him, spins around.
And now, double file, 3 into turn 1, all for second place. And Cofford up to second. It's a bit of a close shave. Josh Freed maintains his run, so this now a multi-car fight for the top spot, and Alex Cofford is hungry for it.
I would have to imagine, especially after the previous lap where he was pushing and running along with Tyler Agostino and kind of got left in the back of this pack. Eric Ronenberg having a big moment there, but keeping it together on the grass. Like I say, he's hungry for that victory, especially with kind of the way the heat race went, as well as the start of this one.
The race continues. Freed with that 10.5 margin up at the head of the field. Struggling to keep a charging Alex Coffin behind. Freed may be up 10. Coffin's up 32 though, and he'll make it 33. That was a clean pass for the lead there.
That was a big moment for Josh Freed, trying to keep the car from getting out from under him. You saw that wiggle there at RB out of 2, and he just had to run it wide. And Alex said, "Yes, thank you. I'll absolutely take that spot. Appreciate it." And made the move down easily.
And Jay Kasich has gone around.
Same spot again, it almost looks like. Or not quite. He comes out onto the curbing. CL just catch him out here. Yeah.
So Freed and Hall will continue to remain in lockstep as Hall goes around the outside of Josh Freed down into the final corner. And
Does
Hall,
set up Josh Freed.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, he sets up a Josh Freed with a very nice draft down the front straightaway. Kind of what he saw a lot of people who were in behind him last time by. See them get a good run down, and he will be the one to be able to receive it as he is bump drafting with Justin Hall to push them going faster. Austin Tucker getting the fastest lap now with a 224.92 behind Brooks Clayton.
Tucker making full advantage of that draft to take the fastest lap of the race. While the rest of the pack slices and dices behind. Now the 9 looking for over, looking for under. Might try to bait Josh Freed into another mistake, and he might have done it right there. There he goes. Exactly what Crawford did. He fell for it twice, and that is going to cost Freed a top 5 now. Oh, and now contact could cost him even more. And Tucker's off the road.
Yeah, Tucker on the kind of the brunt end of that, though I think Josh Freed also got a bit of a slowdown from there. Just a light touch.
So that was the earlier incident. Here we go. This'll do.
See Austin Tucker going for the inside on Brooks Clayton. Josh Freed anticipating that break and just bumps him out. Jay Kasich.
He took a toe.
He took a toe and he is out.
Unfortunate for Jake Kasich as he is into the pits and 20 minutes in.
Incident.
20 minutes in and still no sign of a code 69 at all.
Yeah, no, nothing on the forecast, or I should say the forecast, nothing on a race control saying that there is one. In theory, there will be one at some point tonight, correct? I'm not sure, I'm not losing my mind with that.
There's a chance that does go caution free. It's not common, but it has been known to happen, usually about once or twice a season. Last race at Mugello went caution free, as a matter of fact, so who knows?
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's possible.
Crawford has not been able to break away with the lead. Tyler Augustino able to get tucked up in line. Now has the big draft down the straight, 2/10. And you'd be a fool to not make the look into turn 1, or you risk him running away with it, don't you? As Austin Tucker into pit road. You can see him at the back of the shot. So Austin Tucker does come in for his first stop of the night. And I think you've got to go for a tire change at this point, right? You can't wait for the code 69 at this point if you're already pitting.
Well, I'm still looking at the lap times. I think it's the first lap time that I'm seeing the pace from the people that start out on dries starting to be equivalent to most of the field. With Alex Plank, who started out on dries. Austin Tucker is swapping to dries. So I think we're, like you said, we are now in that window. I don't say it's a mandatory thing, but I think within the next lap or two, you're going to start losing time to those that did start on dries.
Well, it means we can throw up who's on what compound again, as pretty much everybody bar a few started this race on slick tires. Austin Tucker has moved over to the dries. He currently holds the fastest lap of the race, but that was set on slicks.
Wets, yes.
Wets, sorry, yes.
That's okay.
We just made a big deal about him changing over to slicks.
He did. He went from wets to slicks. But so the fastest lap there. Nobody's gone faster yet this lap. Blake Gimbrow also in. Quick stop, I guess, as well. A tire change over to dries. I'm going to guess we're going to see more of them make it in when we go back to the start-finish line. Current top three, Alex, Tyler, and Justin Hall, all coming down through the lovely fast kink at the end of the lap before the final hairpin. Let's see how many of them dive into pit lane this time as we go around start-finish. I guess we're going to see a good portion.
Around 23 seconds is the estimated pit stop delta for tire changes because Blake Gamble has just swapped onto slicks as well. And we'll see. We're right at the point. Still have not gotten a word of any code 69, so these guys are all going to stay out. They're really trying to push to see if they can make it work.
And I would say it's very probable that they would make it work, at least for another lap or two, setting 223s there. They're still getting faster, same as with the rest of the field. And so I think, well, when we see a couple more laps out of Austin Tucker, see of that, how that much faster Oster is going than the rest of the field, that'll be a good margin for how well it's going. As Giovanni Romano setting that faster with a 222.54.
Darren By looking like he has just had a bit of a moment as he has kind of tumbled down the field. Now the rest of the pack. It's so difficult, right? Trying to find that one critical changeover point, right? When do you make that move? When do you dare to make that move? Jordan Babcock is in because if you make that move at the wrong point, it could cripple your entire race.
Absolutely. I think it's you're basically changing the tire with the hope of getting faster time, and then if you don't get it, it's, you know, you can't swap back because then you're just making it even worse. But it's definitely one of those things where it feels like you're getting less returns on your investment every lap you go by past that change point. Alex Plank now running about as fast as Alex Crawford and Tyler Agostino at the front. I'm thinking this lap or two is the window where the dries will start being faster than the wets more consistently.
Right now, Alexander Klenk, the driver that is furthest up on slick tires, he's been putting down up to a 223 the last lap by. That's a 4-second increase from 2 laps ago. That is significantly quicker, and I think that really goes to show just what he's doing. Let's look at the car. Oh, no! Contact and off the road! Gonna recover, but a bit of a wild moment there. But, again, compare this to the driver ahead of him, Ron Wolf. Last lap, Wolf lost 6 seconds back to Klenk on wet weather tires. Now, I think that tells me that Wolf had a problem, but look at the 2 laps prior. Half a second, 3/4 half a second. Dries,
all the leaders coming in.
Wets might be more stable right now, but they are not the quickest, and that has just been made apparent.
Yes, that has, as all of the entire front half of the field so far is coming in to swap onto dry tires. I think we found that point you were looking for, that crossover point. It's right now.
And no code 69 in sight, so this is just purely on overall pace. See the fronts go up, and that'll be followed up by the rears, as it'll be a complete 4-tire service. Yeah. You don't really have a room to put a jack on the side of the car, do you? Like in a stock car, so may as well.
Yeah. Yep. Plus, it's probably less people working on it. You got, I think, 3 or 4 for these guys. And no pit limiters. So you gotta be careful with that pit limit speed, as always.
Unless you're one of those people that uses the auto pit limiter, with like a cheater.
Yeah. Most people have that ridiculous stuff. The car, as the car is made, doesn't have.
So the field continues on. Tyler Vanden stayed out. remains on wet weather tires. Evidently, might be trying to game the system on a Code 69 potentially. Hope they can pick up a lot of spots that way.
I mean, I feel like he might pick up a good handful of spots, but curious to see how much that pays off for him once the rest of the field is doing another, 10 seconds faster than he'll probably go on those wet weather tires.
And with this being right at the halfway point, this should be the stop that gets everybody to the end of the race as well.
I believe so, based on what we've seen here at least. It should be this one stop for him, tires, fuel, and they should be out and set to go till the end of the race. But if we have a Code 69, might throw a couple from
That's Augustino going for a 360 spin and save. But I think that shows it right there, right? You might be on slick tires, but it doesn't mean the track ain't still a little greasy. It just means they're faster now.
It just means they're faster. Those curves are still dangerous. Like, that hasn't changed from when the race started. As Tyler Augustino makes that apparent with that fun 360. And if you go offline on these cars as well, it's probably still a little bit damp there. You can kind of see that different change of gray coloration in a couple sections of the track there where it hasn't dried out quite enough yet to really make a dry racing line. On the kind of dry track off the racing line. And so it's can be a little sketchy there as well.
And just a little bit, right? Tell you what, though, the field's still having a solid race today. And I think this is really, kind of looking back, this is the most spread out the field has been all season. It's been a weird race with this rain that's kind of thrown everything kind of into a line. Or kind of throwing everything into a toss-up, right?
Absolutely. Austin Tucker, second fastest lap, 2:18.83 this time by.
Unsurprising.
No, not really. He's got a chance to warm up those tires, run a lap faster, really get a feeling for where the car wants to push and where you want to keep it all nice and tidy.
There's Tyler Viennin. Trying to fight his way through pit road. Sebastian Close also in the pits this time by.
We are last two runners on wet tires swapping over to the dries.
And Chris Flam, saw him drop a few spots. Looks like he might have had an issue. Oh, yes, yep, that's not the line. Oh, that's the tires. And, Fan, we've only got about oh, here we go. Code 69 coming into play. End of this lap. I was just about to say you got 13 more minutes before that window closes. Well, we got our first of a potential of two coming at you at the end of the lap. And it always gets wild when it throws that up at the back half of a race.
That it does. It'll make it for, I think, an exciting back half, especially with the fact that the track is still pretty wet, as you see Alex Crawford try to use the curves and get almost spun out as a result of it, like he's hit a banana in Mario Kart. Is kind of how that looked like. But it'll be the lines here off the racing line are still pretty wet by the looks of it, and I think it'll catch a good number of cars out on the restart. Austin Tucker diving back in for a splash.
Yeah, might want to go, probably going for the insurance. So remember, when they're running those slower lap times, they're also not burning as much fuel. They're burning more fuel now they're on the slicks as well. So I think this is insurance pit stops. Make sure that you can go the distance.
Certainly, and if you get the opportunity to, because of the Code 69, as you see, they're not getting up on the jacks at all. No reason to with those dry tires being put on halfway through.
Yeah.
It's definitely insurance. It's definitely I know I can push throughout the second half of the race, and I'll probably need to, especially for some of the front runners like Giovanni Romano or Alex Crawford, who want to keep that gap to the lead as almost the entire field makes their way in. Matthew Dupuis is one of the few that stay out to get spots back. it's just splash and dash for most of these individuals, anywhere from 7 to 11 seconds. Austin Tucker was the slowest. That makes sense because he came in earliest, so therefore had the most room in the tank to top up on.
And how about that? Justin Maurice setting the fastest lap of the race that time by. So, Road 69 in play for the first time this afternoon. We'll be back in a moment with more on Green Flag TV. Welcome back to Green Flag TV Racing Action. Getting set to resume before too long. This has been deemed to be a single file restart, courtesy of the caution bot. Seems like there may have been a glitch of the matrix, so to speak. It was supposed to be double file. It will be single, though, as a result of this little error. Carson Catlin taking the chance to come back down to pit road.
I wonder if not enough fuel?
Maybe. I mean, it kind of pitted later than everybody else. You'd think he would have had enough.
I think so, too. It's just a splash.
Yeah.
Maybe just top it up for insurance, like you mentioned.
Yeah, maybe. Or maybe he genuinely didn't have enough. I'm not known to be the best on fuel calculations.
That's fair. It happens. Yeah, I mean, or, you know, they just want that stipulation. Maybe we have a whole other lap of code 69.
Yeah, looking like we'll have another lap here. So we're going to tick away Yet more time on the clock. Under 20 minutes to go. I mean, this is gearing up to be a wild finish to this race. I mean, it was about as spread out as this field has been all season long, but they're not going to have a chance to get that spread out again throughout the course of the rest of this race.
I definitely don't think so. I think it's going to get really dangerous, though, with these slick tires and them wanting to take that curbing like they're running a full dry line.
Yeah,
and I think we're going to see a good number of cars get bit as those curbs are still pretty wet if you look on that next to those cars on the screen there for a moment. Not a dry portion of the track that you can really leverage to find time. I think. Now
the racing line is mostly dry by now. Is the important factor here. It's just when you get offline that's a worry. Here we go.
Offline and in those curbings as it is green flag and we're going.
An awkward spot to restart the race, but restarting the race we shall. And the pack gonna cycle on through. Coffer maintains the lead. Brooks Clayton trying to see if he can't run him down.
Brooks Clayton making good use of that curbing and keeps it nice and tidy. Justin Hall, Eric Ronenberg, Tyler Agostino, all filtering down through the sector of corners before getting back to the fast final sector, or not fast final sector, the nice and fast kink in between two hairpins.
Giovanni Romano now trying to look around the outside of Matthew Dupuy into the hairpin. Around the outside, clears him down to the apex. Good move there for Romano. As Dupuy sees what he can do, and the 65 has been sent for a slide.
Justin Brees, unfortunately, not getting the best of entries there. I think he got turned actually by Alex Clank going into that turn.
Meanwhile, for second, it's between Clayton and Hall. Coffer working a 1.8 second gap. Justin Hall looks around him, and bum drafted up the middle is Eric Ronenberg and Tyler Agostino. Why not?
I mean, it seems to be the way to get up the field very quickly. I've seen both Alex Coffer, Tyler Agostino, and many other group pairings of these cars up in the front here do that to just kind of punch through other drafts, and then kind of following through that, Giovanni Romano working his way up to fourth, as he is trying to make his sights onto the podium. And Justin Hall getting off track there at the end of that area. Austin Tucker sliding through and also trying to take the spot away from Brooks Clayton in fifth.
Key Point trying to take it away, but it's obviously a difficult thing to do when you're this far out in the race. I think a lot of drivers have a lot of confidence underneath them right now, and they're utilizing that to the most part to their full advantage here. As they remain kind of packed up nose to tail, but that's not stopping Alex Coffer from running away with this one.
It's also not stopping cars. A couple other cars that had incidents, like Jason Lee here just a moment ago with Alex Clank as well, taking a little bit of runoff to avoid causing more havoc.
Minutes to go. The 9 and the 243 remain in lockstep. Around the outside goes Austin Tucker. Brooks Clayton still maintains a strong run for the top 5. Giovanni Romano and Tyler Agostino fourth and third, with Ronenberg in second. The gap now over 2 seconds to the lead, and I think this is now Coffer's race to lose, and around goes Clayton.
And Austin Tucker tries to avoid getting caught up in that quick little tap to get Brooks Clayton going the right way. Through will go Chris Flams as well as Justin Hall again from his mistake earlier. The gap now building of about a second and a half between this group of cars and Giovanni Romano and Tyler Agostino up at the top there.
Coffer with the fastest lap of the race. Are we surprised? I think nobody is. A lot of close quarters dogfighting as we come up over the hill in towards turn 1, especially a little deeper in the field here. For the most part, everybody's keeping it very organized. I think as far as beer league races go, This has genuinely been one of the most organized. Oh, well, as I say, that Paul goes off the road. No, that's Ronneberg off the road. Sorry.
Yeah.
And you know, as far as beer league races go, this has been genuinely one of the more cordial races that we have had in beer league history. And just got caught on the on the AstroTurf there. Can't do that, man.
Nope. It's not dry yet. It will catch a car out. We will hydroplane and have a little bit of fun spin there.
Yeah, but nothing he could do about it.
Very quickly became a passenger into that conversation.
30 seconds to go before the caution window comes to a close, and this will once again become a one yellow race, and it looks like that is very much going to be the case. Oh boy, you saw Clayton almost make the exact same mistake that Ronneberg just made, but he's able to wrestle it back. And now Agostino's around. Agostino from the podium is off of the off the road. Take a look as just got a huge tank slapper and a heavy hit into the wall.
That curbing once again catching them out.
And
You've seen it a good handful of times at this point.
That car nearly pitched up and over. Again, take a look here as car snaps sideways, and look at how far this car tips up on two wheels here. Just about rolled that thing when it got into the wall.
God. That looks brutal.
Well, all that's going on. A pretty hefty grudge match here. Coming down the road into turn number one. Take another look at this as a huge bump draft effort from Brooks Clayton and Austin Tucker. They just came together and doubling up to, boy, this looks like a tandem draft from 2011 stock car racing.
It is. We got almost a high line and a low line going. Brooks Clayton getting pushed out wide. Chris Flam's getting into that group and then getting pushed out just as quickly. That's Hank holding on to the top of that.
A bit of a coming together there as well, so some drivers nearly having a moment. Oh. There we go. All right, we're back. The transition's so good, it was warranted twice, apparently, on that one.
It really wanted to show the transition twice. We want to tell you that it works, and that it works well. I'm fascinated about. I love all the close battles we still have at the end of this race. Really, thanks to that Code 69 bringing cars back together. All the way up and down the field. Alex Clank, who set the fastest lap, kind of holding back Josh Reed, Brooks Clayton, Austin Tucker, all for third. And further down the order, even from 12th on down, groups of cars, Ron Wolf, Jason Lee, also trying to take the fight to Eric Ronneberg, who had that off earlier on.
Oh, and I think we might have... Oh, we have had a couple of cars come together here. Sebastian Close and Carson Catlin looking like involved in this one.
Oh, both, I think, had individual incidents in the same spot with the curbing.
Oh, yeah.
Agostino go off.
Oh, and Catlin up and over!
Flips it back right side up, but two rough impacts. And that curbing just catching both of them out and hydroplaning those tires. It's where that car became, they were passengers in that one.
Oh, boy. Brutal hit into the wall for the 666.
Flips it back over.
And all the while, the battle remains up at the head of the field as Clank, Freed, Clayton, Tucker, and Romano remain in the hotly contested battle for the number 2 spot, while Crawford continues to extend his margin at the head of the field. Oh, and now Mac Verstappen going to take out another one as Castro goes off the road.
That looks like another incident that just did not end well.
So Clank and Moore remain in lockstep with 11 minutes on the docket. You know, I quite like the racing that we're having here this afternoon. I mean, yeah, it's definitely calmer than what we normally expect out of a beer league race, but the racing's been good, right? And that's what these big tracks really allow. They allow for these guys to really kind of get the elbows out a lot more than they traditionally would.
I think so. I think it's the track also, I feel like it is a really fun one versus what these cars see a lot of. And so it makes for some good... Oh, Alexander Crawford making friends in the grass at the end of the...
Oh, boy.
Track on the start-finish straight.
How in the world has he done that?
I think he just kind of lost focus on where he was going for a brief moment there. Still going the right way, just coming out of the final corner onto the straight. He just kind of keeps it going a little more left than I think he meant it to. He doesn't come back to correct it until he realizes, oh, there's movement happening in the grass. Probably
looking at something else, if I had to guess there.
I would as well. Austin Tucker setting the fastest lap, 2:13.15. Making his way around Josh Freed, Giovanni Romano up into third, trying to take the fight to Alex Clank, who's only a tenth and a half slower than Austin was this time around.
So Clank, Tucker, Freed, and Romano remain in lockstep, 2nd through 5th, all under a blanket and just nothing between these guys. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, this is going to be a wild race to go to the end, at least for the battle for the number 2 spot, at least.
I expect we'll see that who's in that second position change at least 2 to 5 more times before the end of this race. Probably about once a lap based on the way these cars are driving and who's got the good, and these runs on the front start finish straight are really what set them up to be in a good position on the lap.
Here we see Tyler Augustino working his way around, the driver of the number 69, headed up the battle for 13th with Scott Fleming and Jason Lee, both situated just behind him. Under 10 minutes to go. Oh, and a big snap out there for the 69. Gets it back, but this track just still greasy. It has never had a chance to fully dry out. But I think at this point, you see how it's still really damp with those puddles on the inside. I think we're dragging more water onto the track at this point from those puddles on the inside of these curbs.
I wouldn't be surprised with how they model water that was the case. I think every time they go over them, I'm guessing we bring a little bit of water on. But again, where they haven't been racing a whole ton also looks a little like it's way less damp than it was about halfway through this race, but it's still not fully dry yet. As these cars go 2 to 3 wide, Josh Freed finding himself at the front of the pack now for second. Tyler Agostino getting passed by Jason Lee, getting bum drafted by Scott Fleming going into turn 1.
And Justin Maurice forced into pit road as he could not go the distance on fuel, so the driver of the number 65 is in for one final stop of the night. Just shy of 7 minutes to go.
I think it'll be a splash and dash for him as well.
Probably,
because he did not come in. Yeah, he did not come in when the rest of the field did on the Code 69 kind of pit window. So I think we'll probably see about 10-15 seconds of fuel. How it goes. Alex Bueller's heading the fastest lap at 2:13.0. So he's working his way up, trying to get back into this fight for second.
Again, an estimated 27 laps on the night. That was the estimated time entering this one. Doesn't look like we're going to get it here this afternoon. Obviously, a maximum of 250 laps, so nowhere even close for that. Oh, and Justin Maurice just given a black flag as well, and I'm willing to bet this came from flirting a little bit too closely with the pit exit line.
That or just, yeah.
Yeah, that'll do it. Crossed over too soon.
That'll do it. Yes, he did.
That's a shame.
Yeah. Insult to injury, feels like. Alex Clank also had a big snap of oversteer for a brief moment there earlier on in the lap as he was working his way past Josh Freed. Kept it all in one piece. So now leads the run down the start-finish stretch from second. They're all kind of pushing each other.
Down into the corner.
Ooh.
Oh, hello.
From Alex.
Yeah, no kidding. Alexander Clank way in hot, and that leaves them side by side. Between Romano and Tucker for second. And Freed's going to pull that one out. How about that? Tucker going to be dropping back into fourth.
I'd say it's a great recovery from everybody. Alex Clank only dropping down to the back of this pairing of cars. It's a group of cars. And after kind of what looked like a very big snap of oversteer that he quickly handled and recovered, but cost him that spot at the top. And I think based on the pace that he's showing when he's not having the car kind of almost want to slide out from under him, it seems to be he's getting pretty quick there. So I think we can definitely see him coming back to the stop front of this field next time by on the start-finish stretch.
5 minutes to go. Probably working our third to last lap here, so I'm thinking 2 to go. When we get back around to the start-finish stretch, this time by Coffer, 6 seconds clear, and I don't call me a skeptic, but unless he has another major spin, he's got this thing locked up.
I agree with that. I worry that he'll make friends with the grass again on the start-finish stretch, but other than that, I think he's good.
Checking out another battle a little bit deeper in the field. This here is for 17th between Darren By, Tyler Carlton, and more. Fight for 16th on down is making some progress here.
Mm-hmm. Chris Bright also not too far ahead of those cars in 15th. This group is kind of having a very similar looking battle to the battle for second, just different styling.
And up front, Romano makes the look, gets around free. Tucker gonna try to help. Careful now. A little bit of a side draft to 10th there, I reckon. And Clank gonna be blocked off by Freed in turn 1.
I think Clank is just kind of at the tail end of this group. I don't think it was a big block in terms of what Clank had to adjust for.
Yeah, probably not.
But
this is gonna get interesting here. Oh boy.
Oh boy, yeah. 3 wide as we go to turn 1. Darren By kind of caught in between Corey Barrett, Craig Beckman as well. Matthew Dupuy at the tail end of this pack now. Chris Bite kind of off on his own ahead of all of them. The battle over 14th, 15th now, excuse me.
All the while, with 2 laps to go, the fight for second remains within a quarter of a second of each other. Coffer not going to be caught unless something big disrupts his run. No lap traffic in sight either.
I'm not surprised, given about how the pace between first and last is sizable, but not enough, I would say, to cause lap traffic to be a big concern for Alex Coffer and the rest of the crew as they make their way down the final sector of the course. I'm curious if we once again reach the point where Austin Tucker is going to be playing the waiting game to make the pass, and instead it's going to just kind of push Giovanni Romano to get out of the draft of get Josh Freed and Alex Clank out of the draft of the two of them. Not far in the background at this point is Alex Bueller and Brooks Clayton.
off of the final corner. We will start the final trip around the Mugello circuit. 1 lap to go this afternoon. And now the drag race for second towards turn 1 for the final time. Freed, Klein both made the look. We're 3 wide. Will we go for 4 in a turn 1? Tucker thinks about it. Going to decide against it, though. Conto and Freed and Klein, and they're all off! All 3 cars are off! Romano gets away with second, and into third goes Bueller. Clayton picks up 4, then it's disaster in the battle for the podium.
Man, that has got to be the worst version of dominoes I think I've seen in a while. Very just heartbreaking, I would say, for all 3 of them. They got caught up in that.
Oh, it's not the only battle coming to a violent end as Darren Bai being shoved off along with Corey Barrett.
I can't tell who started that. Is it Tyler Viennan? No, excuse me. Tyler Carlton in the middle of that. He seemed to get away with it.
And I think Freed just let Clank through, and if he did, he's probably feeling a little bad about what happened there in turn 1. I think it was kind of Freed that kick-started that whole chain reaction.
I think it was Tucker into Freed. And that was the domino
may
effect.
Have been, yeah.
So that's what, at least from where I was looking for, that's what I saw was.
Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah. Tucker knocks Freed loose. Freed slides up and hits Clank. All 3 go around as Tucker's unable to fix it.
Such a tough break, and that will take Alex Cofford around through the final few corners. No competition. Alex Cofford out of the final corner this time by ran a perfect race this afternoon. Up 33 spots, Alex Cofford becomes the 3rd different winner of Season 11 in the Beer League. And in the distant second place will be Giovanni Romano, with Bueller capping off a bit of a surprise podium for us here this afternoon.
I think might even be a surprise to Alex Bueller, to be honest. I don't think he was expecting to be this far up. But when 3 cars spin in front of you, it's kind of one of those things where, oh, this is cool. Oh my gosh. Just watching some of the people finishing the race, catching.
Oh, hello. Look out.
Oh.
Bit of a hip check there.
Yeah.
Boy, what a night.
Absolutely.
Wild way to close out this race, and some drivers are going to, oh my good lord, go for the real celebrations. Good grief, still tumbling over here. That was
such a long run.
10 out of 10 for form on that. Oh, nearly pitched her over in the sand. I think that might be about all they wrote for us here. Might get 1 or 2 more. Yeah, we got a couple.
Couple. Here and there.
Castro didn't make it. He didn't get the memo, I don't think.
No.
These 2 do, though. Oh, is he going to clear it? Is he going to... He did clear the wall. Oh, dear. Well, with racing action at a close this afternoon, we're going to be able to take a rundown of your official post-race results this afternoon. Boy, a violent race here this afternoon at the Mugello circuit, as it is going to be Alex Cofford taking it home after 24 laps ahead of Giovanni Romano. Alexander Bueller finishes it in the number 3 spot, with Clayton in 4th, Freed back in 5th. Then it is Clink in 6th, Tucker 7th, Flams 8th, Ron Wolf 9th, and Eric Ronenberg rounds out the top 10.
And 11th, Jason Lee. 12th, you got Tyler Agostino, Justin Hall, Chris Bright, Greg Beckman are your top 15. Tyler Carlton, Darren Bai, Tyler Vietnam, Jordan Babcock, and Ryan Murphy round out the top 20.
Moving down to the rest of the field here, it's going to be Corey Barrett, Blake Gambrill, Scott Fleming, Jeremy Castro, Carson Catlin, Matthew Dupuis, Stephen Purcell, Bear Morton, Close, and Versuin for the top 30. And that will then leave at the tail end Brissy, the last car on the lead lap, with Jake Casey, Adam Joseph Mailhot, and Alex King, all failing to finish racing action this afternoon. Well, a wild way to close out the race tonight, and we'll look to give a chit chat here to all the drivers that come home on the podium, and we'll look to start things off first and foremost with the driver that takes home a good race win this afternoon. It doesn't get to more of a walk-off win than that. We'll see if we can get a word with one Alex Cofford, as the driver, the 19 out of Alaska, going to come down into the broadcast booth and give us a word. Alex, you become the third different winner of the season, and this one, it's a walk-off win for you. Nothing more to say. You got to the front and ran away with it. Alex, do you have us?
Hey,
there we go.
Hey.
Sorry, I just got back from the bathroom. I had to run after that race.
Fair enough.
What was the question? I didn't hear anything.
We were just asking you how you're feeling after a walk-off win tonight.
Oh, I mean, that was great. Going to the bathroom after was even better. It was a great track. I love high-speed tracks. I love this track in general. The Legend in mixed conditions, a lot of fun. So it was a blast.
Kind of take us through the strategy this afternoon. It was very unusual, kind of deliberately set to a wet to dry race with no actual rain during racing action this afternoon. The sprint race was all on a dry racetrack. The feature, not so much. How did you have to adapt from one to the other on a car that notoriously doesn't race on wet all that often?
Yeah, it doesn't, but it should. It handles fantastic. You can really throw the rear end out there, and it responds well. Like, you definitely can overdrive it and lose time, but it's not so dangerous that you're just going to spin out constantly. So it's really fun, and sometimes fun doesn't always transcribe perfectly into fast, but and so you just really have to underdrive the car. Especially, we've talked about before, a lot of people in this race or in this series, their pace in solo laps versus in packs is vastly different. So in the rain is kind of especially so. So really just trying to make sure, keep it clean, keep it pointed the right direction, keep your eyes and ears pointed towards other people, because while I wasn't going to spin out, I was kind of worried other people were, and then pick people off that way, let them make a mistake, move on forward. And then, from there, once I broke the draft at the end of the race, it was kind of GG's. I felt like no one could catch me at that point.
Well, looking forward to the races coming on up here in the Beer League. You reckon this next week might go your way before we enter the 1 week break in the midseason?
Yeah, I felt like the last two races I've been on a strategy where if I can avoid the carnage, then it's my race to lose. I just have to get through the field nice and clean. And, sometimes that's easier said than done. And I'm not perfect myself too. So just eliminating mistakes, both internal and external. If that happens, yeah, absolutely. In this car, in my environment, I think I'm definitely a favorite to win most of these races. And then I don't know, have we rolled for next week yet?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Yeah, so, I'm hoping for high-speed tracks. That's just what I enjoy. But if it's something low speed, then I'll grit my teeth and push through it.
All right, sounds like a plan, Alex. Congratulations on taking the win this afternoon. We'll see you next week when we go racing once again on the Beer League.
Thank you, guys. Love watching the broadcast and appreciate everything you guys do.
And that brings up Alex Cofford as he takes home win number 1 of the season, the third different winner in the season as well. We'll bring up Giovanni Romano, the driver that finishes second. He stands by with Fennicini.
Giovanni Romano, congratulations on another podium finish for you. I believe it's your third time on the podium, second time on P2, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So
It's been a good season so far.
very good. So was it a tense last few minutes there with that pack of cars that you were driving along with, and then were you relieved at the final lap there with the incident behind?
I wasn't surprised because it seemed like everyone was intent on missing the first corner over and over. Thankfully, no one hit me. But usually I was looking forward to the draft battle to the end, but I guess I can't complain. I guess they all really wanted to see me finish second for some reason. I don't know.
It may just be that way. Fuel strategy on this seemed pretty smooth with one stop. Was there any concern there I didn't think there was, but was curious.
No, I think pretty much all the leaders did the same thing. We all topped off before the caution, or when the caution came out, and yeah, that was basically it. I think everyone was on the same tires too, because it had dried out pretty quick by the end. So yeah, that's more of a straight fight this race. Yeah, no shenanigans like last week, which was. I mean, I love strategy games, but sometimes it's also nice to have a more straight up race. And I mean, with the weather conditions, it was more than difficult enough anyways. So
Yes. Are you looking forward to any more rain racing? Are you happy to be done with it?
so this car is super fun in the wet. It's like incredibly fun, but it's doesn't have a windshield wiper or any rain-x or anything. So the visibility is so bad that like I play in VR personally, and it gets so bad that you get ice. I start to get eye strain because it just covers up your windshield, like almost like a screen door, really thick screen door effect. That's why for this race, like, it was scripted weather, so there was no rain. Like, it wasn't actively raining, which is means the windshield clears off okay when there's not any active rain, but when we did testing with active rain, it's like really bad. So anyway, long story short, I'd love to see more rain if they actually add some kind of windshield wiper rain-x, but I think outside of that, just it's too hard on the eyes for a long race personally.
Yeah, I definitely could see that from what we were seeing in the broadcast booth with the onboards with y'all, and just the way that water didn't go anywhere. It definitely looked like it was going to be hard to just kind of see through for, an hour plus. So next week, I don't think we have where we're going yet. So
We do now. It's Portland.
Oh, we do. Excuse me. Portland is where we're going next week.
Cool.
Are you looking forward to that?
I am looking forward to it because I bought Portland and I didn't do a single race on it, so I'm gonna get my money's worth now. So that's
Fair
good.
enough.
It's good. I'm looking forward to
good.
it. It's a good track, so be good.
Wonderful. Then we will see you next week. Hopefully back here on the podium. Hopefully on that top step. Are you? Yeah. Sorry, I thought I had a question there, and then my brain deep sixed it. So thank you very much. And it was a blast as always, and great racing. Great congrats on the podium, Giovanni.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Absolutely. And we'll see you next week back here. Hopefully.
Giovanni Romano comes home number 2 this afternoon, and Fen, first ever green flag TV race at Portland International Raceway. We thought it was going to be with the Classic IndyCar Series later on this season. Turns out, no, it is going to actually be with the Beer League coming on up. That is going to be interesting. I do love Portland as a racetrack. I haven't driven it much, but I've watched plenty of races there. It's a genuinely awesome venue, and I'm hoping that the race that we get there is going to be just as incredible as I hope it will be.
I think it's in my personal opinion, it's a far more fun track that has, is very little on the elevation change, but is very fun as a result, even without it. I think some of the tracks that have kind of the elevation is not a big feature of it struggle, at least for me, to be of the more fun variety. But I love the amount of technicality in the corners that are at Portland. To really maximize lap time there, you have to know your car as well as those corners very well in order to get the best laps. I think we'll see that be a big factor is the word I think I'm looking for there in the lap times and racing we see next week. I'm looking forward to it as well. Big fan of the track. I think it's exciting to see. Unfortunately, that we're taking away from the Classic Indy cars by going there before them, but I think that's the nature of Beer League being a little bit on the random side.
Yeah, it is what it is, right? And well, before we can get to all of that, we got more action coming on up on Green Flag TV. When we go racing next, it is going to be out for the Speed Cup Series tomorrow night. They go racing down in Fort Worth, Texas for the last race of the regular series season. Tentative coverage for the SRA NAS Classic Series as well as for the ASRL Xfinity Series at Auto Club and Phoenix respectively, pending weather or alternative broadcast crews. Then on Monday, It's the High Tide Racing League back at Darlington for Monday night with the OMSRL Cup Series taking place at Auto Club Speedway with the final race. That's going to be a wild one. Two drivers, they are teammates, tied for the points lead, entering the final race. They're the only two able to go for the title. Not going to be a finale you're going to want to miss. And then that brings us back around to Wednesday where the PSR Sim Gaming Expo Truck Series takes to Kansas Speedway while we will go racing on the West Coast over at the Portland International Raceway. If you want to find out more about who we are, what we can offer you, you can check us out today at www.greenflytv.com. As always, my name is Ola Rempel. Thank you all so much for joining us. We'll see you all next week when we go racing in Washington.